République! Vive la France!
When Emmanuel Macron surprised the French political establishment with his sweeping victory in early 2017, he set about reshaping policy with a positively Napoleonic zeal.
He wants to be the man to bring France back at the centre of the international stage.
On foreign policy, he commanded the French bureaucracy to produce a strategic review of French security and defence policy within 3 months. Significantly, at a time when Australia was tiptoeing around the subject of the rise of Chinese military power, the French review did not, saying the Chinese defence budget was now 4 times that of France and that the People's Liberation Army was no longer committed to the sole defence of national territory. And Macron chose his visit to Australia in early 2018 to talk for the first time about the Indo-Pacific and put the relationship with Australia at the centre of the French strategy.
It is the very beginning of a government-to-government strategy we want to develop for the upcoming 50 years.
Understanding that this is the strategic context in which the French president considered the submarine deal is key to understanding just why the French have been so angry about Australia's actions. It is not just about French industry losing one of its biggest ever contracts, but about decisions by Australia and the United States which undermine much of France's strategic plans. What has made the decision even more galling was that on the very day the new alliance with the US and the UK was being announced, the European Union was officially launching its own strategy document on the Indo-Pacific, a policy that has been urged on by France in the face of a less enthusiastic Germany.
The Indo-Pacific is the future. I want to stress the importance that we gave to a meaningful European Navy presence in this area.
It's not just the Morrison government which has been surprised by the strength of French reaction. The New York Times reported over the weekend that a surprised Biden administration had found itself caught up in the maelstrom, briefing that they'd left it to the Australians to handle the relationship with the French, which it quickly became clear they hadn't done at all well, as a smug government briefed out that the deal had been in the planning for 18 months. But
when did you directly tell President Macron that you were tearing up this contract?
The night before.
The night before it happened?
About 8:30, slightly after 8:30 on the night prior to the announcement.
With German Chancellor Angela Merkel due to leave office this week after 16 years in the job, Emmanuel Macron becomes the senior figure driving European affairs. This afternoon, French European Affairs Secretary Clement Beaune said the EU-Australia Free Trade Agreement was off because Australia cannot be trusted. He appeared to get some backing from the German chair of the European Trade Committee, who agreed the deal was now in trouble. Whatever the value of the AUKUS alliance, it has left Australia without a plan for any sovereign submarine capability for the next 20 years. There is already talk of leasing US submarines in the meantime, and the government has shown Australia to be an unreliable partner to an ally and power bloc that has wanted to step up beside us in the Indo-Pacific. It's once again felt like the government has had too much focus on the news cycle and not enough on the underlying policy issue. The Prime Minister flew to Washington today, where the new alliance will no doubt be a central issue. But yesterday there was another matter to clear up before he went.
Prime Minister, if you're saying Christian Porter has upheld ministerial standards, why is he resigning?
He's upholding the standards by resigning, is my point. If he doesn't believe that he can provide what we believe is necessary, then it is the appropriate course of action for him to do that.
Christian Porter released a lengthy statement yesterday, once again protesting his innocence of the allegation that had led him to sue the ABC and claiming he was a victim of mob rule. But at question is not the allegation, but the source of up to $1 million of funding for his subsequent legal action. Mr. Porter's declaration of this funding last week, which did not include either the amount involved or who it had come from, was the problem.
Do you really think he doesn't know where the money came from?
It's a blind trust. He cannot disclose to me who those donors are.
Well, no, the problem is not that it is a blind trust. The problem is that, according to Mr. Porter, those who donated funds to the trust were told they could do so anonymously. He says he has received an assurance from the trustee that none of the contributors were lobbyists or prohibited foreign entities. This, by the way, is a change from what he said last week, which was that, quote, "As a potential beneficiary, I have no access to information about the conduct and funding of the trust."
Do you know how much money he was paid?
That's included in his register of interest.
Actually, no, it isn't. And this is where Christian Porter's problem now lies. He is as obliged to declare this interest to the Parliament as an MP as he was to declare it to the PM as a minister.
You're now talking about a different set of issues which relates to the Parliament. And I am not the custodian of the Parliament. The Parliament is the custodian of the Parliament. I am the custodian of the ministerial standards.
Prime Minister, you're still his boss, though.
No, the people of Pearce are his boss.
We intend to raise this in the Parliament in every possible way. It's clearly a matter that the Privileges Committee could look at. It's clearly a matter that the Parliament as a whole could be looking at in the form of a censure motion.
I believe he should be given another chance at some future time in a senior role.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, Labor is not going to let the issue go. But such things do not ultimately stop Mr Porter sitting in Parliament.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.